Okay, hey you guys. Today we're going to be starting our Ratchetdemic lesson with Miss Robertson. So, how's your guys' day today?
Boring.
It's
I'm
boring?
tired.
Okay.
I'll go home.
Well, with this lesson, I feel like you guys are going to have some exciting information. So, I hope this lesson helps make you guys' day a little better. Okay, so what we're going to be discussing today is about chapters 7 and 8 of the Ratchetdemic book that we started this week, which hopefully you guys decide to read, but either way we're going to be going over it. So we're going to be talking about, in the chapter 7 they talked about redesigning schools for inclusion. Chapter 8 we talked about soul wounds and the roles of teachers, and then we're going to talk about the Prussian model of obedience, then Horace Mann, then we'll conclude. Okay, so we're going to start off with a 5-minute warm-up of writing down your experiences of how you had to hide yourself to fit in with the classroom, and if you had to experience that, like what part of you did you have to hold back in the classroom? Okay, chapter 7. What makes a good Ratchetdemic teacher? Okay? So the main idea of this chapter was telling readers what it means to be a Ratchetdemic teacher, and they was explaining that being a Ratchet teacher is when you blend academics with the student's culture and who the student is. Okay, redesigning school for inclusion. So Ebden talked about how redesigning schools to honor students' identity and to be more inclusive, especially for minorities, because nowadays when it comes to traditional classrooms, they're focusing on whiteness and the white norm and just hiding minority students and who they really are, because obviously everybody's going to have their different cultures, different identities, different personalities. They're trying to make everybody seem the same. So for solutions to redesigning classrooms and schools to become more inclusive is to add culture into the lesson. Like nowadays, people like listen to hip hop, rap, like maybe even R&B and stuff. So maybe bringing that into our lessons, or like having a relationship with your students, knowing what your students like, their interests, who they are, their personality, having that connection, and even having the students know who you are. Like, oh yeah, I like to run. Like, have the teacher like, oh yeah, I watch track. Y'all can have a conversation about that. So creating an environment where students can use their voices, open discussion, adding on to each other's ideas, like stuff like that. And also creating lesson plans that allows kids to use their true voices and share their cultural background and stuff like that. So, talking about that, let's reflect on what we just talked about. So, what do you think school would look like if you centered the lessons in the classroom around the students' culture instead of putting it down? So I want y'all to think about that for a second. Okay? Okay. Before we go to chapter 8, do we have any questions about chapter 7?
No.
Okay. Making sure you understand.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm happy that all y'all understand. So we're gonna start on chapter 8. Bring it back for me one time. So for chapter 8, we're gonna talk about learn like a cipher. So you may be wondering what a cipher is. Next one. So a cipher is like a type of hip hop where people freestyle and build up, like, you know, I hope you guys seen like on the internet where they'll be rapping and then add it onto the other person's rap and like going back and forth and building up onto the rap or the song. That's what a cipher is. And then Evan talked about in the book that we read how a classroom should be like a cipher. So In chapter 8, he also talked about what a soul wound is, which is a deep emotional scar that kids can get when they're misunderstood, not seen, or not even valued, or when the kids just don't feel like they matter or they're not smart enough. So that's what a soul wound is. And one thing about soul wounds, teachers can cause this on their students whether they realize it or not. Like, they can affect their students. And ways they can do this is enforcing strict rules on their kids. That can cause them to get soul wounds. Or forcing the kids to be silent, not allowing them to use their voices. Rejecting students' culture, making them have to hide a part of themselves. Or teaching without. How do you expect to teach kids when y'all don't know nothing about each other? Like, the kid's not going to take you serious because they don't think you care because you don't really know them. So, and also punishing kids without understanding. Kids do stuff sometimes, and sometimes it don't be making sense, but you can at least try to understand why they did it, you know? Stuff like that. But even though you may cause these soul wounds on the kids by these actions, you can always heal them. So you can heal them by letting the kids speak their truth. Having a conversation with the kids, having a connection and being vulnerable and telling each other stories and get to know each other and admitting when you make a mistake. Also, creating a cipher space, what we just talked about. So knowing and also honoring kids' culture, not forcing them to hide who they are, and practicing restorative practices instead of just punishing them. Okay? Next one. So a quote that I liked from this chapter, it says, "Teach is not just about knowledge, it's about restoration, restorative." So because I like this quote so much, you know what we're going to do? We're going to reflect on it. I want you guys to talk about what this quote means to y'all. And I want y'all to imagine what this quote will be like in a classroom. Okay. So we're also going to speak about the Prussian model. Prussian model of obedience. See, I made mistakes too. Prussian model of obedience. This one will focus on creating disciplined, obedient citizens. You know what that looks like? Soldiers. Everybody the same. Nobody's different. Nobody's unique. That's what this model is about. And also we're going to talk about Horace Mann, which was the man, I believe, to create this traditional system we have today, which is where teachers are well educated and respected by the student. And he wants uniformity and control in the school. But to connect these two to Ebden, they both agree that today's school system is about controlling the kids. The teachers have control over the kids. But what Ebden wants is to replace that system. He wants a system where it's critical thinking, where it's creativity, it's self-expression. Kids are able to have a conversation, have a relationship with the teachers, understand each other, really understand the classroom, the lessons deeply in their own personal lives. He wants that to happen. The kids having control. Well, we're near the end of the lesson. So I want to go over the key takeaways that we talked about. Starting with chapter 7, we talked about how traditional classrooms, they want the kids to be silent. They want no culture being shown. They don't want none of that. And also, they want to silence the blackness of kids. They also talked about redesigning the schools to shift the power from teachers to kids. Okay, kids have control of the classroom, control of their learning. Learn stuff that is meaningful to them. And then we hit chapter 8, where they talk about soul wounds, which is the deep emotional hurt that kids get when they're not seen, not valued, not understood, and feeling like they're not cared about. Nobody cares about them. And also, how teachers can create these soul wounds, but that just because they can create it doesn't mean they can't heal it. They can heal what they may have caused. And also, education should be restorative. It should not just punish the kids. How are you supposed to learn if you're just punishing kids? They're not going to learn from that. So, thank you for my lesson. Thank you for attending. I hope you guys learned so much from it. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. So,
Yay.